Is there a difference between what is required to be displayed on a business card versus, let's say, a listing flyer or an agent website? Hello and welcome. I'm Varnadoe here at Solid Source Real Estate Companies, here to answer questions and discuss basic advertising in light of the rules and regulations that have been set forth by the Georgia Real Estate Commission. Before we jump in, I do want to take a moment to talk about copyright. Now, the creator of a work, for example, someone that takes a photograph, does have an inherent copyright to that image. The image itself does not have to have the copyright symbol on the photograph for the copyright to actually exist. We do want to keep this in mind when we are listing property and we are advertising the property in terms of photos. We want to make sure that we are the individual that took the photo or that we have written permission to use the photo. For example, if the photo came from a professional photographer, we want to keep in mind that that is generally going to be a limited license for use of that photo. And if we didn't take the photo and it's on another website, we don't want to just lift that photo from that website and use it, at least without getting permission first. Copyright infringement is serious and is very costly. So just keep that in mind as we're advertising property. We want to make sure that it's photos that we took or that we have permission to actually use. As we dive in today, I think it's important for us to keep in mind how the Georgia Real Estate Commission actually defines advertising. They define advertising as any manner that we make known to the general public real property for sale, rent, lease, or exchange. When advertising specific property, as we do in most cases in terms of a listing, the Georgia Real Estate Commission has three very specific requirements. It's what I refer to as the big three. And that is the name of the brokerage firm must be contained, whether that's in a logo itself, as ours is, or standalone. The name of the firm must be present. And a telephone number for the brokerage firm. In addition to the name and number of any affiliated licensees also displayed on the advertisement. Keep in mind that the name and number of the brokerage firm should appear in equal size, prominence, and frequency in comparison to that of any licensees also displayed on the ad. For example, the real estate agent's name should not appear in 48-point font and then the company name in 24-point font. The company name should be equal or greater in size, prominence, and frequency. For example, the real estate agent's name should not be displayed in perhaps bright red and the real estate company in a very light gray. Equal size, prominence, and frequency. Keep in mind that we also should always have written permission to advertise any property before we advertise it. Now, the great thing for us is that this permission is already baked into the exclusive seller listing agreement. An exclusive seller listing agreement is required prior to advertising any property in a multiple listing service and already has that written permission to advertise baked into the agreement itself. Oftentimes the question arises, can we advertise properties that are listed with another brokerage firm? The answer is we can, but we must have written permission from the authorized agent, and we must disclose that the property is actually listed with another broker, unless those rights have been waived. The easy button here is the IDX. That is an agreement that all brokers have already agreed to when they become members of an MLS, that we've all agreed that we can share each other's listings. It only helps us sell those homes even faster. For example, on an agent website, an IDX is most oftentimes going to be what fuels that search engine on the website. But if we were a la carte advertising a listing on another site, then we would want to make sure we had written permission and that we had also disclosed that the property is listed with another firm. We generally don't recommend cherry-picking listings and advertising them individually, but in the event that we do, we want to make sure that we have that written permission. Note that advertising must be under the direct supervision and approved by the broker. Solid Source agents simply send advertising proofs to broker@solidsource.com. We take a look at that ad and make sure that it is in compliance with the rules and regs of the Georgia Real Estate Commission. We go ahead and approve it, or if not, We will let you know exactly what needs to change and why, and offer suggestions as to how the ad can be improved so that it is in compliance with this rule. As a licensee, it's important that our advertising be accurate and not misleading in any way. The Georgia Real Estate Commission specifically states that we should keep advertising focused on the property itself and not people. We want to make sure that any ad is not in violation of any state or federal fair housing regulations. When we keep the advertisement focused on the property and not people or activities of people that we think might be interested, that's an easy way for us to keep that ad in a good place. Let's take a moment to talk about agent websites. When it comes to agent websites, yes, the Georgia Real Estate Commission has a few very specific requirements. They want the name and number of the brokerage firm to appear on every viewable page of the website. That's every viewable page of the website. And if it's a page that advertises real property for sale, rent, lease, or exchange, you may know where I'm going with this. It will also need to ensure that the name and number of the brokerage firm is not only present, but is displayed in a manner that is an equal or greater size, prominence, and frequency in comparison to any licensees also on that page. We want to make sure that the website is updated within 30 days. If this website is beyond our control, perhaps it is under the supervision or under the control of a third party, we want to make sure that we let that third party know in plenty of time to update the website. And in the event that we are questioned by the Real Estate Commission, you want to keep a chain where you have requested in writing that the website be updated. This would relieve us as licensees of any liability if we can show that we did request that the site be updated. And keep in mind that any third-party website that is outside of our control, we are not held responsible for by the Real Estate Commission. I do want to take a moment to talk really quickly about messages. So if we are advertising by chance in electronic messages, let's say a text message, and our text is limited, and we simply don't have enough characters, enough space to put all the information that would help us be in compliance with the Real Estate Commission's regulations, we can include a link to a website that is in compliance. This is acceptable. And finally, I also want to talk about agent as principal. So when it comes to agent as principal, disclosure is key. The Georgia Real Estate Commission does want licensees to notify their broker in writing prior to engagement in a personal real estate transaction. We should never offer to buy real estate or sell real estate in a manner that does not make it very well known that we are licensed. The Real Estate Commission considers us having an unfair advantage based on our knowledge and our expertise, and I'd have to say, we do. Now, when it comes to advertising property, listing property that is owned by a licensee, I do recommend in most cases an exclusive listing agreement because this is a requirement that is set forth by the MLS prior to entering a property into the MLS. That includes property owned by a licensee. If a licensee were to advertise a property outside of a brokerage firm, it would be very important that any advertisement clearly state seller, landlord, whichever the case may be, holds a real estate license or Georgia real estate license number and the license number. These are a few of the very specific legends that have been approved by the Georgia Real Estate Commission. If the property is listed with solid source, as in most cases, you may simply use a solid source yard sign. There is no need to add any additional disclosures. I hope that you found this information helpful, and I want to thank you all for watching. Thank you for being a member of the Solid Source family.